Hi, folks. This is Mountain Man coming to you from parts unknown, and I hope this is the proper venue. And I say I got three people. How do I open the comments? Now, this is my first time using the streaming service, folks. So if you all help the old man out and let me know what's going on. Is anybody out there? What would I think I lost somebody? Throw out the lifeline. Throw out the lifeline. Somebody's drifting away. But anyway, I decided to give this a try to see how things. How you doing, Bubba? Hi, Michelle. And I've been sitting here battling for about 1 minute, and I already got a 5x5 from Wild West. Hi, Annette. I had no idea I was going to come on tonight. Hi, Chicken Grandma. Now I am on TOO channel, right? I don't even know. I'm just sitting here talking into this situation. Warrior for what's right. Now, I did see when I was starting this and learning this that it says there's about a 10-second delay. How many of y'all were on my live stream last night? Oh, I am on TOO. Good. I don't want to get them mixed up because the main one that started it all is on a razor's edge. And I got I can see my comments real bright good here, but I can't post videos on this, or I can't put pictures up just yet because I got to upgrade my device quite a bit. And I also have to upgrade the service. I'm already dealing with one service, and I got two services. Hi, Stacy. So Nikki said she was going to cook some dinner, and I told her I was hungry, but nobody said anything. But anyway, we've got a lot of stuff going on. People are very worried about and interested in. A lot of talk again about the emergency broadcast system. We got the big day coming up tomorrow, and I want to just caution everybody to think about that old song that he's playing on the radio. Ain't nothing shaking but the leaves on the trees. How many of y'all remember that? Let me see what. Hi, Georgia. You'd cook for me, honey? Good. I bet it'd be good too. What I use a lot of times is I save my bacon fat. Try getting a pan on low heat with some bacon fat in it, put some Brussels sprouts in there. Man, cut them in half and cook them, and you put salt, pepper, of course, and Parmesan cheese and parsley flakes on them. After you cook them, sprinkle Parmesan cheese while they're still warm, and parsley flakes. Man, talking about something good. But anyway, um, so I just caution people not to get too upset about this emergency system. I wouldn't be surprised if something did come out, whether it was Biden. And to be very frank with you, I don't know if the person that we're seeing half the time on the screen, if he is being controlled. Because a lot of times we all know that's not the same guy we saw last week. They switch him out, and you don't know what his role is. But the main goal and the main thing for this entire endeavor is a WW awakening, a worldwide awakening. It's not going to happen overnight. Now, I should have called Red and see if he would come on with me. And I know Nikki's cooking dinner, so she's not coming on. But You wish you had a clone, you would send them to her. That's right. Remember that John Wayne movie? He saw somebody do something, and he said, "You remind me of me." he Somebody did some heroic. But anyway, um, I did touch on, if you all, I noticed a lot of you all were in the same chats as here in Nikki B's. I talked about how Trump always said the N word. I don't like to use it, the word nuclear, and that he mentioned it several times, and that we have been hearing from the Russian government the ongoing threats of a dirty bomb. So we were told that we would have to deal with certain things. And I heard a lot of people and saw a lot of people in chats, and I've heard over the past couple of days how people were saying, well, if they do anything funny this time around, blah 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 blah. You know, if nobody does anything with the military, we don't have a military. Well, I just want to remind people, we'd already be finished if we didn't have one. If we didn't have some kind of authority overseeing this, managing this in a way that, as Trump said, it will never happen again. That's what's got to happen. And the world has got to see it. It can't be something as a headline for a week or two and then disappears in the file cabinet of history. This has got to be an epic. EPIC. Epic times is EPOCH. But anyway, this is going to be an epic event. And it's going to take time. And Trump said before, maybe we're not going to live to see the end of it. A lot of us, he said. And he didn't mean that by something bad would happen to us, just the passage of time. So things, I'm not saying it's going to drag out, but somebody in the chats yesterday put in there, well, if Trump announces he's going to run for 2024, that would be conceding 2020. Is anybody out there in the chats that put that up? And I said, oh, I'll talk about that later. So I guess I can talk about it now. You remember when Kennedy, you've read about, if you're young, you had to read about it, you'll remember it, but when Kennedy was assassinated, Lyndon Johnson took over. His term was less than 2 years. Okay, so he ran again, and he won. Anyway, if Trump serves less than 2 years, he's not bound by a 2-term limit. If he runs again and serves a full 4 years, after that he would be bound by a 2-term limit. A partial term doesn't count. So I'm just saying that there's an option there in this big chessboard, or if they say 3D, 5D, one of the levels of the board, is the fact that he could serve out a remainder of a term, less than 2 years, and then and his announcement for 2024 would be valid. They can't very well say that he's conceded if he's not, circumstances don't allow him to perform his role. What did you see on live TV, Nikki? Annette? You're listening and cooking, Nikki. Thank you, honey. I was talking about bacon, fat, salt, pepper. Oh yeah, garlic powder. Put a little garlic powder on them, and not garlic salt, garlic powder. and Parmesan cheese and uh, parsley flakes on my Brussels sprouts. Uh, Cook them on low heat. But anyway, you saw Jack Ruby. Oh, yeah, Lee Harvey. Yep, he was a patsy. I'm just reading the chats here. Wild West, you're back. Melinda said he's not. Okay, every new. Sometimes if chat goes by and I babble on, I can't put the two and two. Whoops. Oh, I see how you. Now I just put Nikki's up there. Okay, I'm learning how to use this, Nikki. I'm learning how to use this. You saw me. How did you see me, Georgia? I need a mod. Oh, how do I do that? How did you see me, Georgia? I look like I just crawled out of the bushes, didn't I? Boy, if you saw me, I mean, I tell you, I was outside. I was cutting through a daggone blackberry bush and got my hands all scratched up. Then I had to feed the cat, and then I tried to get on the air, and I said, "Man, my camera was on. I hope nobody saw me." But I guess Georgia did. Yeah, doing a test. Let's see. How do I do this? Make somebody a mod. Nikki, you want to be a mod, honey? You might have to put down your stirring spoon. Did y'all ever try to cut down a blackberry bush by hand? It ain't easy. I'm gorgeous. Holy cow. Georgia, I don't mean to ask a personal question, but do you wear glasses? Did you have them on? Let's see. Let me check how I do this. Put user in time. I don't want to put nobody in timeout. Wait a minute. I'm trying to figure out how to use this thing. Click a name and as a mod. Oh, okay. Let's see. Yeah, they'll cut you up, and you get them little stickers in your finger, and you can't see them. But boy, if you touch your hand long, Nikki's the best mod in the business. Okay. Did that do it? I put my finger on there. I'm poking on you, Nikki. Wait a minute. Click a name and add as a mod. Let me see. All right, I clicked your name, Nikki. Put you on the screen. I'll click that little three dots on the side there. Block user, star comment, put user in timeout. That's all it says. Well, I know how. I guess I'm the mod. Small as this channel is, I can. I clicked on your name, Nikki. It doesn't give me the option. Uh-oh. Here, I can remove myself. How in the world? No, I don't want to remove myself. Well, we're just having some fun here, and I'm learning how to deal with. Click on your picture. Okay, Nikki. You gorgeous looking thing, you. There, I clicked on your picture. Now what? It put your name on the screen. I think I got to go to that $25 deal, maybe, in order to put mods in, Nikki. And Aaron, if you're out there, you hear my broadcast later on, thank you very much, because I'll just get ready to say this channel is viewer supported and creator supported, namely my big backside is the where I get my support. I noticed that YouTube ran commercials on this channel. I wanted to watch my own video in peace and quiet, and there was a daggone video ad. Well, I don't know. I have to be on the YouTube side. I have to be on the YouTube side. Okay. There. I clicked you. Click you again. I'm gonna click you again. I have to be on the YouTube side. I don't get it. I'm a slow learner, Nikki. I was a kid that sat in the back of class and yeah, I'm in StreamYard. I sat in the back of the bus, the back of the class. My bus driver, she said she put it on top of our heads like an egg, but it won't roll off. If you see, okay, Wild West said he can block them for me. I don't see any trolls. Let me get, okay, there. Okay, I'm gonna put that on the screen, Wild West, since I got all this power now. There, it's there forever, everybody to see. Wild West. Now, if we get a liberal, that doesn't mean they're a troll. I'll throw down with anybody. I'll throw down. What are you cooking, Nikki? I tell you what we can do, guys. Um, Nikki, you're going to do your own show later on, or you want to go on after you eat your meal? You want to go on be about 7:30? Don't you want to interview me again? I just can't drop links. Oh, it's okay. We this little peanut channel. What I got 200. I thought I had 260 something. You know, I don't know if somebody got mad at me or what. That happened to my other channel. I must have said something bad about Phil Godlewski. Next thing you know, or Mike Penny. I'm not trying to say bad things. I'm just trying to say, you know, come on, people. You know, how are you going to talk reality to somebody that has no idea what half the stuff we know, and then you're going to throw on top of it a bunch of stuff that is at the very least hard to understand. We went to different schools together. That sounds about right. It's like a cop used to say, if you want to stay here, you're going to have to move along. Rocksteady's here. Okay. Anyway, I don't even know what we're having for dinner, Nikki, but anyway, I was talking about Mr. T. I might as well talk a little bit more since we got people in. And that is one thing that I noticed that he said in this rally that he hadn't said in other rallies. Oh, I heard he was a bully, Wild West. You know, I'm joking, and I didn't say any names. But anyway, you know, he mentioned something strange, that we've got the worst stock market since 1872. Because you know he'll throw dates out there. You know he's thrown dates out there before, referring to the October Revolution in Russia. But he said while the music was playing, he said we've got the worst stock market since 1872. We are not sorry, YouTube. Oh, huh. Well, I'll have to learn how to do the mod thing. But a lot of us know about the Act of 1871. And a lot of people hang their hat on there, put all their eggs in that basket when they're in a courtroom, and that's a different story. But I was going to do a video, I still might do it, about the assassination of Lincoln. And if you'll notice, they tried to wipe out on the same night John Seward, Secretary of State, and Andrew Johnson was the vice president, and they took out Lincoln. So they tried all three. Remove the top level of government. And Johnson, according to history, by a fluke, by a drunken assassin who couldn't do what he was going to do, became president. Who was the first president to ever be impeached? Johnson. So they didn't assassinate him, but somebody tried to take him out. Anyway, after Johnson, who became president? Ulysses S. Grant, notorious for his drinking, a brilliant general, but not presidential timber. I'll put it that way. I wouldn't want to face him on the battlefield, but in an executive chair in the Oval Office is something different. And it was under him that the Act of 1871 was passed. Then the stock market crashed in 1872 because you didn't have day traders back then, just anybody showing up on the stock market. You had learned people in the stock market. You had financial people, business people. And after that, did Grant sell us out? Like I said, I don't think he had the skills. He did not have the training. He was never a politician. He was never involved in executive business or foreign policy. He just went out, saw the enemy, and crushed them. That was his job. And at the time, he was also suffering from throat cancer. And he wrote a best-selling memoir. I had a photograph of him sitting on his front porch writing his memoir after he got out of office. And he died like 2 weeks after that photograph. And it was a bestseller, and it kept his family out of poverty. Once he passed, he was bamboozled. As a matter of fact, when Grant was elected president, he stayed in a hotel. And a lot of people were down in the lobby waiting to put their 2 cents in. And that's where the term lobbyist comes from. The first time they started using that term was everybody hanging out in the lobby trying to put a bug in General Grant's, now President Grant's, ear. So it is all very interesting, especially if you read some authoritative history books concerning the assassination of Lincoln that verified who tried to do it, what their actions were before and after, who tried to kill Seward. They hurt him very badly. He was sleeping, and he was attacked in his sleep. I won't go into detail about his injuries, but he did suffer face and head injuries from a knife wound. And anyway, when you see that, then Johnson goes on board. Johnson, well, this was when you had a vice president that was the runner-up or from a different party as a vice president. So the national policy went from Lincoln's, we want to bind the nation's wounds, a house divided cannot stand. He told General Grant when he was on his way to meet with General Lee, he said, let him up easy, boys, let him up easy. He wanted to pick them up off the ground easy. He knew they'd lost. So you went from that philosophy to a runner-up of the presidential race who was vice president, all of a sudden the national policy got turned over on its ear. And Johnson wanted vengeance. Johnson wanted people summarily executed. He did not want to build bridges with the southern states. And, part of the reason that's why the South economically never thrived was because when there were deals being finalized with railroad companies, which was a novel thing at the time, Union Pacific Railways, you had mainly railways being financed, backed, pushed to go from east to west coast. And Lincoln would have assuredly had railways running into the southern states to help them join commerce, because it's kind of hard to sell your stuff if you gotta get it around by mule cart, a cart and a horse or mule, whatever they were using, or try to put together a rickety railroad system of your own, try to tie into Union Pacific. It was a mess, and the South never recovered economically from that. Okay, the steward just said, what was going on at the Trump Tower? It was, the lobby was all a buzz. Oh, you're talking about with lobbyists. Okay, I thought something might have happened today. Ha ha. Yeah, Mac, we got the best followers, bar none. No cell phones in a computer. That's true, Wild West. Back in Lincoln's day, but Lincoln was president when they laid the transatlantic cable. You think about that. Back in the 1860s, 1850s, they had the technology to lay cable all the way across the Atlantic. And during that time, it took weeks to get word from one side of the ocean to the other. Overnight, you could get there in minutes. So anyway, I've been babbling about this business. Let me see. Rockefeller up the trains. That's right, John Rockefeller. Hi, El Griswold. How you? And the carpetbaggers did run amok. I tell you, it's such a shame they've Gone with the Wind and sullied it like they have. That was written by Margaret Mitchell in the 30s, and it is a fantastic book. The movie is very good with Clark Gable and Vivian Leigh. And if you pay attention to it, it's got a little thing here and there that shows the spirit of the book. As Margaret Mitchell says, civilization. It was a different civilization, gone with the wind. But they want to hide history from people. Louisiana, born and bred. All right, Bo. One of your favorite. That's right, Michelle. It's a beautiful movie. I had a movie list if some of y'all were with me which I think all of y'all were when I first started my broadcasts. Recommended movies, along with Gone with the Wind. I had Dr. Zhivago, Zhivago, Zhivago. That was a book written about the Bolshevik Revolution, and it took many years for that book to be released by the Soviet Union. And they made a movie back in the 60s with Omar Sharif. And that's a good movie to watch if people pay attention to not just the love story, the war story, but the living conditions and rules that I'll use Margaret Mitchell's term, that an entire civilization had to start to follow, or else. Okay? And then the next movie I recommended was the Mel Gibson movie. Oh, gosh. Somebody help me. It's set in the Amazon jungle. And for some reason, I have a hard time thinking of that title. But boy, I certainly do remember the movie. And if somebody can help me with that in the chats, it's a Mel Gibson movie. He directed, and he took a bunch of basically unknown actors. And what it is it shows what life was like here in the Americas prior to Christianity. Let's see if somebody gets it in the chats. No, not Braveheart, John. It is about a drama in the Amazon or the the Amazon jungle or the Aztecs. But Braveheart, I do reference that at times. That is about Scottish history. Apocalypto, Mike C., you got it. Apocalypto. Now, why I can't remember that, I got no idea. I'll remember the Book of Apocalypse, and then it'll come to me. Apocalypto, that's another book that I recommend. Movie I recommend people watch, that they encourage others to watch, and tell them. People say that everything was great here on this continent till we came along. Let them watch Apocalypto and see how great it was. Okay? And I'll tell you another movie that, let's see, this is another one with Omar Sharif. I'll have to get that out, and it's so little known. It was about human slavery. It was about the UN. I'll tell you some of the stars that were in it. Glenn Ford, that's a big name back in the day. Omar Sharif. Oh gosh, I would have to take a look at that. Michael Caine. Gosh, I can see his face. I can't think of his name. He had a lot of big stars in it. I'll dig it up. But it's instructive in that it goes through the fact that there's human slavery being practiced to this day. This movie was back in the 70s. The UN involvement in programs where people get something in their shoulder. And I'm trying to think of the name of that movie. I'm not near my video library. I'm trying to see. I'm having a little trouble pronouncing that. John, I'm having a little trouble pronouncing that last name. McLachlan. Okay, I got it. A little bit of my crooked eye. Georgia saw my crooked eye, crooked nose. One ear higher than the other. I'm just kidding. But anyway, so that's the other thing I found interesting in Trump's rallies was that he mentioned 1872. Did you notice that? I tell you what, do you have trouble finding the Trump rallies and watching them on video? For people that are keeping an eye on their data usage, you know, a lot of times if you go to YouTube, you can lower it down to 144 in the controls, and it saves you a lot of data watching a Trump rally. Now, if you got to go to another channel, RUMBLE, the lowest you can watch it is 240 or 360. Or if it's a live event, it will automatically suck so much data out of your phone you won't know it hit you. But they keep taking them down on this platform, YT, right? So Georgia, yeah, I see what you're saying there. I won't repeat it because YT doesn't like you, like me, repeating competitors. So I'm going to give you all a tip. I was watching it on YT, and the guy got taken down. I said, "Oh, gee, I got to go to the other channel," and they go on automatic data and they suck it out like a wet vac. So, but I want you all to check out a channel called The NPC Show. Try it tonight. The NPC Show. Now he's got 7 channels, but the one that he has been putting him up on is called The NPC Show. And if you show up and Trump, that person is already speaking, he's got his channel set somehow where you can, while it's live, you can back it up to where he began talking and start listening from the beginning. I haven't seen that before. Nikki, you got unlimited data. I know you're one of the beautiful people. We call that the beautiful people. I'm just kidding, honey. But a lot of us old cow pie kickers, you know, just got what you got. Anyway, the NP. Now he's got a bunch of other channels, and he's an interesting character. He's got 7 other channels. You want to make sure. Yeah, Ness says I don't. And, you know, it's a pain. It's a pain when you're watching a broadcast for an hour and then you check and you say, oh, my God, I use that much data in 1 hour? That's because it goes up to 1080. You know, there's a big difference between 144 and 1080 being sucked out of your phone. I have unlimited data too, but if it goes over a certain amount, it gets slowed down. I can use so much data I want, but it's got to be slow. There you go. Max says it too. Max said, me too. If I use it a lot, they slow it down. Ransom came out in 1956. Yeah. Anyway, and so the NPC Show, if you want to, if they don't mess with it, banners, you see here. I'm gonna have to play with this this live stream system here. But I'll tell you what, I'm so broke I can't spend the night. I've told people before jokingly, you know, to be dumping money into another thing just to upgrade equipment because I'm using a different device, and I discussed this on an earlier broadcast to keep myself a little firewall between taking me down all the way. You know what I'm saying? That's why I didn't do anything for the 2 weeks, because they have a very explicit warning that if you go on a different channel, you could be totally wiped out. during your timeout. So I wanted to, but I didn't. I went on other shows. Ransom. No, that's you're talking about the movie I was talking about. That was in the 70s. It was called starts with an A. Oh gosh. It'll come to me. It'll come to me, Georgia. It was the name of Michael Caine's wife. She was from a certain tribe in Africa. Ashanti. Ashanti. And I know, Nikki, you got a computer. No, well, you're probably still cooking, honey. Ashanti. If you look that up, you'll see that's spelled Ashanti. That was they didn't put a lot of money into production, but they had big name stars. Peter Ustinov, that's the name I couldn't think of. Peter Ustinov, Omar Sharif, Glenn Ford, Michael Caine. There's four of the top stars of that time did this film. And Ashanti, yes. And it's never gotten out. Never gotten out to be put out to the public. And if you watch it, you pay a sharp eye on it. Hi, Doug. How you doing? You will see a lot of things that affect us today. Most importantly, human trafficking. Okay? And there's a scene in there. I don't want to spoil the movie. But I tell you what, if that was my movie, I would be suing whoever produced the movie Taken, Taken. Okay? Because you watch it and you tell me what you think. Okay? We're gonna discuss these movies one night. So you guys got at least four movies I've suggested. And for people tuning in late, it is Gone with the Wind. It is now we just discussed Ashanti. We discussed Apocalypto. And the other one was Dr. Zhivago. Starts with a Z, Hivago. Zhivago. Starring Omar Sharif. And if you all remember, let me see if anybody gets this in the chats. Who was the co-star in Dr. Zhivago who played Omar Sharif's, who played Dr. Zhivago's character? Who played Dr. Zhivago's stepbrother? And you'll understand the movie quite a bit better when you realize that, because the first time I saw the movie as an adult, I didn't put together they were stepbrothers. Yes, hit the red button, share and subscribe. Can anybody remember what I talked about? Who was the stepbrother of Dr. Zhivago? Who played him? And it was way before the majority of movie fans even knew who he was. But he was a famous actor, but he's British. And then I'll give you a hint. I'm going to try to think of a hint that's not going to give it away. He said that the script for one of the most famous movies he was ever in was terrible. That's one hint. No, I see what you said, George. It wasn't him. He played in. He was in one of the biggest movies of all time. Of all time. He also starred in Tinker, Tailor, Soldier, Spy. After he starred in the biggest movie. That's another series to watch too. Talk about international intrigue. Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. You got it, Georgia. Alec Guinness. Obi-Wan Kenobi. I was going to put out as a hint, these aren't the droids you're looking for, but everybody would have got it right off the bat. Is Nikki still with us? She's eating dinner. Oh, there she is. She probably went and got some Brussels sprouts out of the freezer and some bacon fat. Anyway, if you look, you can look up Alec Guinness and it'll say what movies he played, and you'd be surprised. Bridge over River Kwai, a lot of famous movies. There you are, Nikki. Okay, folks. So, how many times did you hear Trump say? And what do you think it's got to do with the situation? He says he has a local DA picking on him. He's got more than one. Got Peekaboo James and a local DA. We all know that there was a news report, verified report, that there were a number of, quote, local DAs that were financed by Georgie Porgy Pumpkin Pie, Sorosio. So that's another thing that I find strange. He uses that verbiage to interject a local DA. So I feel safe to say that a lot of people are sweating bullets and making a big choice tonight. The other thing that he said was, if we had an honest media, none of this stuff would be happening. None of it. And if many of you may have seen my earlier broadcast about a man named Julius Streicher. He was, hi Aaron, how you doing? Julius Streicher was, hey Aaron, thank you for your support, buddy. I was just telling everybody this channel is viewer supported and creator supported. So you're one of my supporters. Looking for Robin. If Robin listens later on, thank you for your support. Somebody one and somebody two. I can't thank you all enough. So anyway, Julius Streicher never fired a shot. Okay, he didn't plan any battles. He didn't approve any missions. He wasn't involved in the Wannsee Conference. That's another thing I go over. But he was one of the main defendants. I believe there were 12 of them, of the top NAZI officials, and that's just a German acronym for National Socialists. Okay, NAZI. There's nothing new under the sun. And it's not like, the NAZIs were just once in history. No, they're National Socialists, okay, which is one click away from communists. It's like Trump said, we shot right over socialism. Right, we're right now into communism. And remind me if I forget to say something about that Fetterman situation, but and I'm going to put something for you all to think about, put in the hopper and think about. Anyway, Julius Streicher, there were 12 of them that were going to be getting that long drop when the hatch opens. And one of them, Hermann Goring, cheated the hangman. He bit down on a cyanide capsule. The rest of them dropped. We're talking generals. We're talking the head of state, next in line, the head of state, which was the equivalent of our Secretary of State, and one that got away too with a cyanide capsule was Himmler. He never even made a trial. But anyway, Stryker made that drop with the top people, the most documented, televised trial of Nuremberg, which there were many trials in the Pacific. There were trials in what we now know as Ukraine. There were trials held there. There were trials all over the place that would be called Nuremberg-style trials. But we're all familiar with the main one. And why would this guy, he was a newspaper person, he wrote a children's book. And it was called Der Mongrel, the Mongrel, talking about a dog of many different breeds bred together. And it just came out in the last year. I think it was republished and they're selling it, I think, on eBay. Anyway, it was talking about how terrible it is to have a dog of mixed breed. So anyway, he got the long drop because the tribunal, which was made up of Russian judges, generals, French, British, U.S. Supreme Court Justice Robert Jackson, all the allies were represented, and it was unanimously considered that the atrocities that happened would not have been possible without Julius Stryker's big mouth and his writings and his propaganda. And they couldn't get the main propagandist, which was Goebbels, because he also didn't want to meet justice. He ended his own life, that of his children and his wife's. So anyway, that is why Trump says if we had a fair media that was looking out for the interests of this country, these things that are going on right now would not be happening. And I firmly believe that he is referring to that written judgment that found him guilty of crimes against humanity because of his mouth and what was coming out of his brain, being put on paper, out on the radio, coordinated, insightful. And there is your standard. Now, everybody knows about this Fetterman character, and somebody was saying that that's going to be the big one to watch, Pennsylvania. And I'll get to him in a second, but the thing that's important about Mr. T bringing up the Pennsylvania Supreme Court, he said, well, they said that what they did was illegal. And I said, oh, good. That means you're going to overturn the election, right? No. They just can't do it again. And the crowd interrupted him when he was bringing it up, and he said, they don't get it. They don't get the point. And he was talking about the crowd. If you'll play that back, you will hear that. But you don't have to do all that. It's hard to find that stuff in a long speech. But his point he was making was, if it was illegal, it was illegal. The court does not have the power to say, yeah, these were illegal, and no remedy. Okay, I mentioned the word remedy before. Damages and remedies. That's one of the main reasons courts exist, is to address damages and remedy the damages, provide remedy. So what he's saying was he doesn't feel that opinion is going to stand because guess what? The Pennsylvania Supreme Court is not the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court goes by the Constitution, or should go by the Constitution. And if they don't do it, we have a firewall. I see what you said there, Wes. She doesn't know what a lady is. Well, there's women and then there's ladies. There's two different. Different. I know a lot of women, but not a whole lot of ladies. That's what we got on this program, and ladies. And that's old school talk. People think it's what's the word? Misogynist, whatever the hell it is. I don't talk that language. But anyway, Fetterman. Trump said he's the most dangerous candidate. And he was talking about jumping straight from socialism into communism. Is that why he's dangerous? I don't think so. It's part of the reason. But what nobody knew until the last few weeks, if somebody knew sooner, let me know in the chats. But did you know the details about his wife? She's Brazilian, and she's married to Fetterman, but she is a self-proclaimed LES, and the other letters are BIAN. So that's pretty okay. Fetterman doesn't look. That's about the farthest thing I could say is another woman is Fetterman, if she likes that, you know. So, but anyway, I'd bet dollars to donuts that she's got dual citizenship. And somebody in the chats mentioned the dangers of dual citizenship and why they forswore any other citizenship and swore solely to the United States. The importance of that, and if they want to share it, that's fine. I won't. I don't. You know, somebody wants to say things publicly, great. But I will say, my mother came over here in the 1950s on the SS Berlin, a big ship, brought her over. It was a year after they shut down Ellis Island. She was a teenager, and those people who were in Germany were in bad shape once again. After World War I, they were in very bad shape. I'll talk about that some other time. But after World War II, they didn't have nothing. And she came over to this country, and one of the things I remember she had to do, and she was more than willing, was to forswear or cast aside, disavow her German citizenship. That was a requirement back then in the 1950s. So, has this person forsworn their citizenship? This person from Brazil? I can tell you, isn't that interesting with what's going on in Brazil? And I tried to talk about that a little bit tonight on Nikki's show, but I'll say we'll talk about it. I think it's going to be a very prominent issue in upcoming events. All the pieces are in place there for something momentous. But I'll get to that in a minute. But isn't that interesting? She's from Brazil. She married this character who has been set up to be a United States senator in Pennsylvania, who is a communist, a self-avowed. I'm not using a pejorative. He doesn't mind it. I'll put it that way. He may not come out and say he's a member of the party, but he doesn't mind it. So, one thing that I'm going to ask a question of the chats to kind of exercise their memory banks. How many times has there been somebody in the Senate or the House of Representatives that passes away or becomes incapacitated and their wife takes over? I know two big ones. One guy died in a plane crash before the election. It was too late to put anybody else on the ballot, and they just replaced him. Whoever voted for this guy, Mel, somebody or other, a senator, uh, she took his seat, the wife. I think she's still in Congress. And the other one is Debbie Dingell. She took his seat in the House of Representatives, and she's a stone cold liberal. And I hate to say that liberal is interchangeable now with the other philosophy I was talking about. So if something happens, it's been at least two in that, at least. So that's something to think about. How do you slip one in? Fetterman has another stroke, and his wife steps right into a Senate seat. How old was she when she came to this country? Did she forswear her citizenship? I would say no. Does she have communist leanings? I would say yes. She certainly has turned her back on the good book. And let me tell you, when they do that, it's not like they leave it alone. They don't just walk away from the Bible. They try to destroy it. So Jesus said, "You're either with me or you're against me." In his teachings, he came not to change one tittle of the word. So these people are not only anti-constitutional, but they're anti-Bible, and there you have it. I don't think I could put any more plump and plain. I don't think there's. If somebody did come in the chats want to discuss differing philosophies, I don't think they could argue with me. So, how's everybody doing in the chats? Oh my gosh, I've gone over an hour. Nikki, what's my limits on this? I read somewhere there's some about limits about what's that airtime or how much you can do a month. If you're still with me, honey, where'd Georgia go? There you are. McCarthy's husband was shot. There was one guy, one Senate candidate, Mel somebody or another, died in a plane crash, and his wife took the seat, and the other one was Debbie Dingell when her husband passed away. That's at least two I know of. So I think that's the game plan if anything happens to Fetterman. But they got to get him in first. And when does Trump speak? He's scheduled for 8 o'clock, which means most of the time it's at least half an hour to an hour later than that. So it will probably be 8:30 to 9 is when he speaks. Isn't that what we went over, Nikki? And guess what Trump hasn't brought up in the past couple of rallies? This has got a lot of people who have guilty feelings concerned. He's not, and he's brought it up at past rallies, brought it up. Let me see here. I get 10 people, 25 hours a month. Okay. Trump speaks at 8 p.m. Eastern time. Anyway, what Trump has not brought up in the past handful of rallies that he's brought up at every rally almost is what's referred to as the Durham Report. So that tells me that's something to watch out for. Now, they've got us all thinking, oh, what's the left going to do? What's the left going to do? Yeah, they're going to try to dress somebody up in a red hat and cause trouble. They're going to have these phony patriot characters run around causing. We know all that. But nobody's thinking about what we might do on a counter punch. Because once the election is over, Durham has a lot more freedom of action. It can't be painted as politicized or election interference. Karen says Durham is a dud so far. Well, did you ever see somebody playing with a dud and it goes boom? That's right, Karen. Let's put that up on for everybody else to see. Future chats. Even his wife. Let's see. Wild West, Merle Haggard. No, man, Merle Haggard, he looked like 50 miles of beat up road when he died. He'd been, no, he's not alive. You been listening to Mike Penny? Forgot to fix what, Bubba? Oh, haha. Yeah, Aaron's got a new pick. They're so tiny and hard to see, at least for me. But I can make it out. So, got somebody, a little one on your lap, or is that you on somebody's lap? I can't tell. It's small. And Bubba, it's just a B. Just a B for Bubba. You got 3 B's in your name, Bubba. But anyway, hi, Sharon. Anyway, Durham has a 30-year history almost and won every single case. Never lost a case until these last 2. Okay? One was in the Magic Kingdom. The other one was the Siamese twin of the Magic Kingdom, which is Northern Virginia. The Siamese twin. That's your baby girl, Arbor Dell. That's nice. I bet you're a good daddy. Don't spoil her. I'm sure you won't do that. If I had a little girl, I'd spoil her. But I got to settle for this cat. How many of y'all saw the picture of my cat the other night? I guess where you at, cat? Oh, there she is. She's out. I thought it was the throw rug. I had to put my glasses on. Good thing I didn't clean my shoes off on you, cat. Yeah, Georgia, Bill Durham is going to go boom. You know, it might be a week or two, or let me tell you, this is the part. If people were paying attention to the drops, there's a pain area of pain, and every time that was discussed, they put a picture of the Punisher and that the symbol for the Punisher. I got the number one of the Punisher comic. I got the number one of the Black Panther comic. I got number one Star Wars 1 through 17 for Marvel Comics 1977. I might put them all on the block. That and a bunch of others. I got 10-cent comics there. But anyway, he is gonna rattle some cages. But the Punisher symbol was a skull. They changed it now, made it look like something out I don't know what. But Kash Patel came up with the image you see on my screen that I'm using. It takes the Punisher skull and it puts a beautiful head of hair on top, as Mr. T likes to say. So I think that's the way, because Kash Patel doesn't know it all, because there's only a handful of people that know it all. But he knows enough. And this is because the bad guys are paying attention to those drops. And you guys know what I'm talking about. They know what that Punisher symbol means: pain, punishment, worry, choices. They're going to make choices. Like I said tonight, there's a lot of people, little peanuts down the ladder, that are being assured you're not going to get in trouble. And they're going to say, gee, what if I do? They're not part of the DS. They're just greedy little cheaters. And they're going to get their money so much per unit, I'll put it that way. And so, hey, $25 times 500 units. Wow, you want to do it? Where do you want to spend the night? Where do you want to spend the night for the next 5-10 years? So that's punishment. And then you see this symbol with Trump's hair on there. I think this is what he's doing during these rallies, is he's dispensing punishment, fear, because he's letting out just enough for them to know that he's got all the cards. And he's got the Trump card. And if you've done something wrong, you're going to be very concerned. You're not going to be sleeping that good. So it's all or nothing for them, as Biden said at a little mini press conference. Well, he's up in front of a bunch of kids in school, wasn't he? He said, they're going to impeach me. I don't know what for. Yeah, Georgia, that's true. I can't say that out loud. Nikki, I don't think he is, because that's the thing. The main thing, like when I came on your show, I wanted to say that this ties into what I was talking about. If a president serves less than 2 years, it does not count against them. So if he stepped in after J20 of 2023, he can run again in 2024 to start serving in 2025, the second term. But he theoretically could have a residual term less than 2 years, does not prohibit him from running for 2 full terms. So I don't think we're going to see an upheaval this year. Or if it is, it'll be late this year. And a lot of you may recall that many, many military things happened on Christmas Day. When Washington crossed the Delaware, that was Christmas Day. Battle of the Bulge, that was Christmas Day. So, what 2020 did was verify to the people that knew what was going on. And it made curious the people who were asleep. "2022 is going to, I think, verify the curious, because we already have verified. We know what happened. But we're really, back 2 years ago, we were probably around 40% of the population that knew what was up. And you had a roughly 40% other of the population that were curious, didn't think it was going to happen, didn't think that it would be overturned, but were curious as, wait a minute. They put all that together with what was going on with the mandates and everything else. Now they're putting it all together with $6, $7 a pound bacon. Trump said gas is going to go to $8 or $9. That hasn't happened yet. So nothing, I don't think, okay. You're leaving, Nikki. Did that disappoint you, honey? I'm just saying what I see. But anyway, we haven't seen the $9 gas. We haven't seen the scare event with the word Trump doesn't like to say that starts with an N. We haven't seen a lot of stuff. And the less than 2 years, 1 year and 364 days would be where he could serve and then still be eligible to serve again. That's something to keep in mind. Thank you, Nikki. I know. But I heard it be said that the top echelons of the military, not the television generals, that they preferred before anything was done, that about 80% of the population they would prefer be on board. The other 20% may come along afterwards, and they said there's at least 5% that no matter what you do, they're never gonna get their heads on right. As I crudely say sometimes, they'll never get their head and their ass wired right. So you're gonna have 5% of that in any group. So if you figure 40% was already had their lights cut on, 35 to 40% already had it cut on in 2020, and then the other 35 to 40%, they're right now like, okay, enough of this. And that is hitting the mark that the military wanted. In 2020, they were not cottoning to taking historical action that half the country did not understand. Now we got the world being involved. I mentioned BRICS before. They are a direct challenge to the primacy of the US dollar. And I'll get into that into another situation. But the B in BRICS is Brazil. Oh, now we know why. Now we know why things went down the way they went down. That's the DS1 to get in the picture and trip up BRICS. And if you're curious about that, BRICS. Second country is Russia. So look it up. You'll see all the countries, and they're going to form their own currency. They're going to form their own financial group that is going to challenge the G7, the golden billion, as they're referred to, which is mostly Western Europe and the United States. They call them the golden billion. But the BRICS countries have 3 billion. Yep. And the S is Saudi Arabia. Georgia got them right. Brazil, Russia, India, China, and yes, Saudi Arabia. There you go, honey. So they get together and have currency backed by precious metals. Is going to be just like Trump said. The dollar's going to have to go to something solid, something you can put in your pocket for everyday transactions. People can put it in their under their mattress if they want, and save it up and give it to their grandkids when they die. Whatever. It's something tangible that you own that is worth something. I was going through. I had a sea of pennies. Pennies. I was like, gotta get rid of these pennies. Did you know that? How many of you have heard of a channel called Santa Surfing? Santa Surfing. Anyway, she posted last year that a bag of pennies made of real copper, $50 worth, enough pennies to equal $50. That bag of copper was worth $250. Get some pennies out of your pocket. Look at them. The newer ones, they got a little Captain America shield on the back or something like that. First time I've seen the penny changed in I don't know how long. Those things, if you threw them in a pool or left them out in a mud puddle, they just disintegrate. Worthless. Nothing. They're not even made of copper. If they could get away with it, make them out of plastic. There's no value there. Like the Spartan coin 2,000 years ago, iron coin. Annette, okay, well, you look through them and you take a look. The copper ones are worth 4 or 5 times the value of the weight of the copper. I mean, the value of a penny that's made out of junk metal. They're worth 4 or 5 times because they're made of copper. $250. But she doesn't post anymore, Santa Surfing. She doesn't post anymore, and I will put a picture of it if I can find it, where she put up about 6 months ago. She was stopping posting because somebody made threats, DEATH, threats against her. That's why I don't want to be doxxed. That's right, Georgia. That's why Jesus was so mad at the money changers. And I don't know if you were on that broadcast. He ran them out of the temple. They were stealing from the people because Caesar was stealing from the people. He had gotten some silversmiths to make the interior of coins out of junk metal and coat them with silver, and then they started changing out the money. Okay, money changers. That was weird. You know, it came to me. I said, "Money? How do you change money?" Oh, change it out for cheap garbage instead of real silver. And that's what they started doing to us after the Kennedy assassination. And my first broadcast on this channel, my second broadcast on this channel, has got a $5 bill for the background and you will see United States note at the top. My mother saved that Kennedy 5, dated 1963, when Kennedy wanted to remove the currency from the Federal Reserve, and we all know what happened with our president in front of the world. And the following administration was removed through impeachment, which that's a deep story. And the people that succeeded that administration, the Nixon-Agnew administration, were picked, as Putin has said, by men in black suits. We never elected them. And the following president, we all know how the DS and the CABAL like dates, right? Once the installed president and vice president ran, they put in a puppet. The year 1976, the bicentennial of our nation's birth, 200 year. And I think that was laid out to happen that way, because they are hooked on dates and numbers, which, as I've said before, are satanic. I heard somebody say, well, it's okay to talk about numbers and try to divine numbers because there's a book of numbers in the Bible. What in the world are you talking about? It's only called the book of Numbers because God was telling the Israelites how many soldiers to have. And of course, when you get into that and God telling you how to wage war and telling you how many soldiers you have, then you get into the armor of God. And when you deal with numbers and mysticism, you don't have a breastplate of truth. You can't wear two sets of armor. It's one or the other. So anyway, that's another story I'll get into. But 1976, 200 years later, they put in Jimmy Carter. And who came like a bolt of lightning out of the blue was Ronald Reagan. And he ended up in second term winning 49 states, the most unified this country's been since World War II. Almost 100 years from now. World War I, World War II. Anyway, so folks, I've gone almost an hour and a half. And Nikki said 25 a month. Let's see, I'm checking the chats. I appreciate y'all coming in. Yeah, she's from Hawaii, John. I used to love watching her. Go, Sammy. Go, Sammy. That was before I ever started doing videos. And he took God out of schools. That's right. That's when it started going downhill. That's right. When they took God out of schools. And that says, I hate when people take things out of context. I do too. Yeah, history is one of my favorite subjects. I tell you what, if it's accurate history, you see people's lives laid out and some of the fantastic lives people have lived and the things they've done. I tell you, you read stories about Lincoln when he was a younger man and he ran a flatboat down the canals. He was a working man, I'll tell you that. But it's so interesting to read stuff like that. And I appreciate you all tuning in. 1964, here we go. I'll put that up there for history's sake. They voted that God. Yep, as I said earlier, I said on Nikki's broadcast, my father saw it coming. He saw it coming. But anyway, I appreciate you all being with me tonight. You all have a great evening. And I just tried this on a LARP. I was just going to do a few-minute test to see which channel I showed up on, how good this
other device if there was any buffering or anything like that. And now that I see it's going along good, thank you, Aaron. Melvita. Is that how you say your name? Uh, anyway, LARP turned, or LARK, not a LARP, a LARK, LARK. I just did this on LARK and I ended up talking my head off. And I'm so glad y'all came here because I hate talking to just me and this cat that looks like a throw rug in the dark. But anyway, I'll wake her up in a little bit. All right, you guys. No buffering and sound was smooth. Okay. Well, if I can get around to maybe put up pictures or do something, I'm going to try my other streaming service on this device live, but I have to beef up this device first. Or get a more powerful device, But like I said, I don't want to dump so much money into stuff. So, but I appreciate you all. Appreciate your support and your thumbs up, like, share, subscribe, and I'll be talking to y'all soon. Y'all have a great night. Okay. I see that Velveeta. Okay, Melvita. I just saw that just before I hit the end button, honey. Melvita. I'll remember that. All right, y'all. Good night.